welcome to the Gump Report. Now, this is being done and after... I'm still angry. If you saw my Impact review, I was angry at the end of it because guys, I don't see any incredible improvement in Impact, no matter what anyone says, until you see certain things being done properly. Not just because of what I want, it's because the fans deserve to see it. It doesn't really mean anything. Now, calm down. Cleanse yourself. Cleanse yourself. I be exercising my demons, baby. Hopefully that sounds better than what I was doing before. I think maybe I'll try that if it sounds good. But this is about something interesting. We've been hearing rumors, and supposedly these rumors are going to be possible. At Fightful.com with John Rosap, we've heard the rumors that, one, CM Punk is in talks with AEW. Two, Daniel Bryan supposedly has already been signed to AEW because he's not returning to WWE. Now, one of my subscribers, I believe it was Extreme Eric, or Eric Extreme, either one, I can't remember. I'm sorry, guy, I'm always bad with names. I'm so sorry. If you were a girl, not saying you're a girl, but if you were a girl, you probably get insulted. I messed up your name, so I'm sorry. But he asked, what do you think? Are you going to do a Gump report? Well, here you go. Here's the thing. We have a very unusual situation. A true legend in the indies, and a CM Punk who left WWE and has not wrestled for 7 years, now is possible talks with AEW. You got another legend in the indies in a Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon. He's now been possibly signed to AEW. What does this mean for professional wrestling in a whole? Is it a huge shift? Well, in a certain extent, yes. You got two people who have been well known to be one of the most influential in some form or fashion for the main largest promotion on the planet of WWE. CM Punk, in his moments, he influenced not just professional wrestling, but he also influenced culture. He influenced social media that was still growing at the time. So people still cheer for CM Punk, even if they've never even seen a match for him. Now it's Daniel Bryan, who has been well established as someone that the fans truly love. And now, who has come back after a career-ending neck injury. He's managed to recover, go back into wrestling again, at least for what amount he can do, because after getting your neck done, you only have a certain amount of time before you must stop again, because he could become paralyzed. Eventually he could, because his neck is still pretty jacked. Next to the concussions. He did have concussions, and he also had neck problems. When it comes down to this, both these guys in one company right now will give a very strong statement to the wrestling industry. That if these two guys are willing to come to this company, that WWE, if the people are willing to listen, and I got a story about that in a minute, but if they're willing to listen to what's going on, to the rumors on all of the websites that say WWE is not a good place to stay anymore. You're not treated like you're special. You're not treated like you're in a family. You're treated like a cog in a wheel. You're treated like you're expendable. You're treated like you're nothing. Particularly what happened to Killer Cross, who is now Kieran Cross, to Keith Lee, to Rhea Ripley, even to Nikki Ash, or Nikki ASH. All four of them, in some form or fashion, have been screwed over by the company when either they didn't get pushed, or worse, when they have the chance to show what they can do, they've been stripped of what they can do, what makes them what they are. Or in the case of Nikki, she had a new gimmick where you could say it was not great, but people were beginning to warm up to it. Only thing she needed was at least a couple of months to build up into it before gaining the chance to do the Money in the Bank and get the damn title. more than 4 months would have been great, and that would have built up into it. And what did they do? They blew their wad, and now she's champion, which probably won't last more than a month or two before people get sick of her, or when they make her drop the title. So what was the point of her even getting it? So this is what people on the outside, if they're paying attention to all the rumors and all the information from all the reporters, will realize that if they go to WWE, their guaranteed contract may suck. Does not mean they're going to get increased any money. And if they do go there, and counting on what type of contract they get with the guaranteed money, does not mean they're going to be used, they're going to be respected, or they're going to do anything other than just sit their ass in catering and do nothing. This is what it comes down to. Now, here's the story. Now, I've told this to people before. This was like in going into May into June. April into May into June. Because it was a lot for me back then. I had a lot of stuff I had to do. And I met somebody when it came to the door. He was a representative of Verizon. I think I know I said this on my video, but this guy was a in-training wrestler. He wanted to become a wrestler, and he was in training. Now, for me personally, because of what's been going on with the pandemic, I had not gotten my injection yet. I was very, very hesitant and very nervous. My anxiety was really bad. So while he was there, I was talking with him and trying to get things sorted out. But when we got to the conversation of wrestling, I told him I did wrestling reviews, even though I'm a very small YouTuber. He said that he's currently learning and training, and he's been with Amazing Red, working with him. And I think his tournament at the time, because I think the tournament's been done now. But the one thing he talked about was he is anxious to get to the WWE. He wants to perfect his craft and go straight there. And I said, dude, do you know JD of YouTube? He says, yeah, over at House of Glory. I train there. I see him. I did see him. I said, dude, you should listen to him because things are not great in the WWE. He says, look, all that matters is the be-all, end-all. WWE is it. And he was heart set on going to the WWE. Now, mind you, depending on how far he gets, and I do hope he gets somewhere in wrestling and not get too badly hurt, that he follows his dream and gets what he wants. And if he's seeing this, dude, how you doing? And I hope you do get where you're going because I want to see you succeed. But if you do make it, going to WWE probably will be the worst mistake you would make. Because look at how many people went to the WWE and is doing nothing. Ricochet is still there. He's literally done nothing for years. They have treated him bad since he left NXT. Kevin Owens has been buried multiple times and brought back multiple times, and now it looks like they're not going to do anything with him. Sami Zayn, he has his interesting story of conspiracy, but he's not really doing a lot at all. When it comes to anyone else, look at Buddy Murphy. He was sitting in the back for years until they had that one moment with Roman Reigns. Then he went and worked with Seth Rollins, and then he went to the back again, and then they released him. Look at Mustafa Ali. So many times they did nothing with him. Then they gave him the retribution type of angle, and they buried him with everyone else in it. I can go through so many people. Look at Ember Moon. She was well built, and she went to the main roster. She didn't do anything other than tore her patella tendon, like Xavier Woods did. Look at Kairi Sane. What did they do with Kairi Sane? Instead of doing something with the pirate princess, they stuck her with Asuka, made it all about them being Japanese wrestlers. They got nowhere, and she got injured by Nia Jax more than once. And it hurts my heart to see all those people there. Now, mind you, I can understand why many of them went there who are well-established professional wrestlers. Many of them want to get a good payout. Many of them will stay there for a couple of years, counting on how many years they do, and they'll get a good payout, and then they leave. Nothing wrong with it. There's some that start up like Braun Strowman, who came up through there, and he himself was red hot at one point, and they just didn't want to give him red hot, and they screwed him up, and he's gone too. There's so many people that have had opportunities, went to WWE, and they've done either nothing with them, they screwed them up and then released them, or they're still there and doing absolutely nothing. So seeing CM Punk and Bryan Danielson, that means something. Phillip Brooks hasn't wrestled in 7 years, but who knows, he could be in shape now. Bryan Danielson hasn't wrestled since what, March? No, May or June. So it hasn't been that long for him. The one thing he wanted was to work in New Japan. He wanted to work with his contract so he can go to another promotion and wrestle. But you know Vince. Vince is Vince. He'll never let you do that. And he never renegotiated his contract and he left. So if he is in AEW, you're damn sure that his contract is open to allow him to go to different promotions. He could go to Impact Wrestling. He's definitely going to New Japan Pro Wrestling if he wants. He may end up on NWA. Phillip Brooks himself, he may not want to just stay exclusive to AEW. Maybe he'll go back to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Maybe he'll go to Impact if CM Punk shows up on Impact Wrestling. And he used to work there at one point. And this is the thing I'm kind of hoping. Yes, he's talking with AEW. He's talking with them, and there's a very good chance he will go there. But what happens if he goes to Impact Wrestling? A promotion that he once was worked in, along with Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson. No, he wasn't there. He was with Samoa Joe. Joe was with him. So he worked with Joe in TNA at one point. Wouldn't it be interesting to see him there at TNA/Impact Wrestling now? What do you think will happen if people saw him in Impact Wrestling instead of AEW? They will lose their shit. Everyone is going to say, what the fuck is wrong with Phillip Brooks going to Impact Wrestling where he can really make some good moves in AEW and be able to do whatever he wants? You never know. I'm not saying he will go there, but what would happen if he did? What would happen if Bryan Danielson, where they say he's already signed to AEW, is actually not signed, and he has an open contract where, well, he may do episode by episode. Oh well, how did Thunder Rosa do it? She did it by episode basis, where they would pay her, she would come in and do that. Maybe Bryan Danielson would do that, and let's say he goes to Impact Wrestling and does the same thing. Or better yet, he signs with Impact Wrestling. What would happen if Bryan Danielson signs with Impact Wrestling and Phillip Brooks signs with Impact Wrestling? Everyone would lose their damn shit. They will lose their damn shit. They wouldn't believe that a low, weakened promotion like Impact Wrestling would get those two. What would happen if they did it because they just love wrestling and they want to try and help Impact grow? I'm not saying they will. To be honest, I would be shocked if they did. Because remember, Impact, this is WWE. This is AEW, somewhere around the same. That's Impact Wrestling. They do not have the budget to get these guys. But if they say, well, we want something different, we don't care about money. We just want to wrestle and have control of our characters and have input in the show itself. If Impact gives them that, more than AEW, you'll see them on AEW. No, you'll see them Impact, not AEW. But this is just what I'm thinking. I'm not saying it will happen. There's no way they probably will do it. But if it did, it would be really a shock to the system that maybe Phillip Brooks goes to Impact Wrestling and maybe Bryan Danielson goes to AEW, or they swap, or both of them end up in AEW, or both of them will end up in Impact Wrestling. There is a huge shift in that respect for the indie wrestlers who think that WWE is all that matters. Because if they still respect a CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, they'll see if they're willing to go there and it's real, or Impact Wrestling and it's real, or both. It will change how WWE is going to be treated from now on. There's always going to be people that's going to go to the WWE and want and beg to be a part of it. But they're going to understand that WWE is not the be-all, end-all, not because there's money somewhere else. This is something that so many idiots don't get. This is what many idiots do not understand. And no disrespect to them. but it's not always about the money. It's about making sure that if you're part of a promotion, that at least you work a little bit, at least you're respected a little bit, and you're not buried by the guy who runs the place. Why did he let you come in if he's going to treat you like garbage? Look what happened to Karrion Kross. There was no point in doing that. It's not the point if he can wrestle or not. Hulk Hogan was never a great wrestler. It was the point that he was packaged properly and he was presented to the people, and Karrion Kross for over a year was booked so well. It wasn't the point that he can wrestle. Like I can remember on JD's video with AEW, and him and his partner were talking. I always keep forgetting his name, but essentially they were talking, and clearly it came up that Karrion Kross cannot wrestle. But it's not the point. The point is that he was presented properly. A wrestler doesn't have to wrestle 100% the best to get over with the crowd and mean something, and AEW did it. Same thing with a Keith Lee. He was so well built. Not just for he being dominant, but he could wrestle. He was one of the best big men wrestlers you've seen in years. And Rhea Ripley, this woman was so well done. And now look at her. She had charisma. She also works very well in the ring. If you saw Money in the Bank, she was the one that made that match, not Charlotte. Charlotte at one point tuned out because she doesn't care anymore. She just wanted her reign, a 12th reign, when she didn't need it. This was about Rhea Ripley selling for her and working her ass off. She can do it. But look what they've done with all three of these wonderful talents. And that's one out of at least 2 or 3 dozen that have been put onto Raw and SmackDown and have been destroyed by Bruce, by Vince, by Kevin Dunn. No matter what you think, this is what you get. And this is just my thoughts on what about the CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. Are they going? Are they there? I don't even know what the title is going to be. I'm still thinking about it. And I hope you enjoy this Gump Report. Give me a comment. Give me a like. Share this if you can. I'll make no money. But I still hope that somebody will see this. And maybe they'll, like I said in my last couple of videos, I'm hoping that I give you some excitement for wrestling again. Because as much as people say wrestling's great, if you love WWE, it's terrible. And that's it. Peace.